So I guess we could just start off today. So today's webinar, we changed it to a meeting to make it more interactive, is about what we came up in terms of iceberg QA, a four-shot testing flow. And I think that a lot of times people are talking about AI replacing folks or replacing testers, but our whole concept of iceberg is integrating humans with AI into a flow and into a process, and that's what today is all about. And so I think we all know that there's a lot of problems with existing QA models in terms of automation, where you've got scripts that need to be modified, you got to write very detailed test cases and then give them to test automation engineers, and they might not know the application, and so they're just following the test cases basically. And so we're trying to combine those good things, which is, having expert testers develop test cases and combine that with AI, where we can have the AI do a lot of the, I guess you could say, grunt work and integrate expert testers in there while getting, some great coverage, doing stuff that humans wouldn't necessarily do or don't like to do, and also make it faster and more affordable.
Now you've just been mean to the robots. Just think they're doing the grunt work now, Phil.
Well, I mean, they're
You
doing
need
a
to
lot
let
more
them
than
think
grunt
they're
work.
being creative. You just need to pretend to let them think they're being creative. Um,
Well, we help them to be creative as well. Yeah, they
all
are
should be
creative.
taken
I,
credit
I
for
tried to put that in there. Yeah.
that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it's time
So,
to rethink this problem because people don't know how to put the two together, right? Like uh,
yeah,
they use tools and they have their existing processes and they don't know really what the humans are best at or the AI is best at, and let alone how to blend them together. So we're trying
yeah,
to figure out how to make that happen.
yeah. Well, the whole thing about automation in the past has been you have human experts, testers that know the domain and the application, put together test cases, and those skills of that kind of person are much different than those skills of somebody that does automation, right? So
Yeah,
you have some automation coder a lot of times writing code, looking at test cases, and they may not understand the application that well. And so the AI is able to um, use domain knowledge and automate at the same time. So that's really cool to combine those things. And
exactly.
today is really the first part of a summer webinar series where we've got four webinars coming up. And today is the first one on, and we're coming up, and the second, third, and fourth ones dig into each of the uh, testing four-shot flow and how that affects and improves the whole testing life cycle. So today, we're just going to be talking about an overview of the four-shot testing flow.
Cool. So we call it testing shots. The reason we call it testing shots is because really there's really four distinct phases of to maximize, like Phil was saying, maximize the value and also maximize the speed to value. So how do we get results to the engineering team as fast as possible with the highest quality possible, so you can actually fix things early and in time during the sprint, but also let the humans get gain from learn and build value based on what the AI has found, and then also add their value back into the AI for the next round. So the idea is in AI, there's this notion of what's called like a zero shot. So you measure how good the AI is. A zero shot is basically when you measure it when you just go up and you open like ChatGPT and you ask it a question, say, create some boundary test cases for a search box, like a web search box, and you just say go. So that's zero shot because you haven't given any other examples or any other context. You just launch ChatGPT, ask it the question, and it gives you an answer without any other information. So what they do is when they measure these things, is that they also do things kind of like what Phil was saying about giving the AI context, is that when you give it a one shot, that means you give it a one example of what you want it to do. So you ask the question, and then you might give it some examples of boundary tests that you've come up with before that the AI can look at and go, oh, okay, I see what types of things A, they've already done, and B, how they like it formatted, how they like it written, what are good examples of what a boundary test case would be that the person asking it for is looking for. So it's kind of personalizes it and gives the AI extra context. So that's when you get like extra, one or a two shot attempt at the AI because they get better. So when you measure how good they are, you give them 0 shots, but they also do multi-shot runs where the AI humans can give it more and more hints and more context to try to get the answer correctly. So the idea here is really what we're doing is you're starting with AI, so it's definitely AI first, but then the humans come in and and take that data and it influences them, and then they turn around and influence the AI robots for the next loop. So it's the humans and AI really working together as fast as possible in this 4 shots of, and then that 4 shots of like a loop. So next time you get a new build, the whole process starts again. And this is really optimizing, the value of the human and the AI and letting them work together, but they're collaborating and they're passing information back and forth. It's not just like you run the AI and then the humans do their things in a separate process or thread. You're making them work together and collaborate. So
Oh, by the way, if anybody has questions, please put them in the chat. We changed the meeting to a meeting format so we could have more interaction. Go ahead, Jason.
right, yeah, don't talk on my slides, Phil, please. Come on, man. We practiced this like 30 times. Um, exactly. Yeah, so ask questions. If people want to ask questions, this is awesome. Um, and so there's sub-zero. So, and Phil actually coined this term when we were talking about this, is that, um, yeah, we didn't talk about the iceberg stuff, but basically the idea, we'll talk about it later. But the idea is um, there's 0 shot means that you've asked the question of the AI, right? But what happens before that? The cool thing is with AI today, and I'll say it with some hubris, if you're using AI today and it can't do this, it's probably not the future the future tool or future AI to use in testing. But the AI is starting, leading edge AI is starting to be able to test things without specifications, without a lot of human input up front. They can just start looking at a website and start testing it, right? All the things that humans think are pretty obvious, how things should work, like the search button on Google should probably perform a search. The text box on Google should probably take a search query, right? So a lot of those things, basic interactions, don't need any human context or business context. But you let the AI go out and they'll do a bunch of testing, both functional tests like clicking around and testing things interactively, and also on all those pages can run all sorts of checks from GDPR to performance to privacy, security to usability, and even visual checks on the page. So the AI can do a whole lot up front. So you let the AI do that. You let it loose, and without any human input, even on the first run. So that's why it's sub-zero. There's been no human input on it. It runs and finds a bunches of issues, right? And we'll talk later. Phil will talk about what happens next. But it produces a bunch of bugs, very simply, like potential issues that it's found. And then it also comes out and says, here's all the functional tests that I did. And you can see them displayed in all their glory of the things that it did and tried, and then rolls all those up into like a summary report. It's like, here's an example report. So it can did, a bunch of test cases, a bunch of checks, which are things for like GDPR and privacy and such. And it found, in this case, 3 urgent issues. You can also get, which we'll talk about a little bit later, qualitative feedback. So it can simulate users of your website and then see what kind of opinions they would have. That's not just pass or fail, but like, hey, I wish you had more details on pricing, or hey, I wish you had, it was a little more obvious how to find some aspect of, or how to place ads on Google was actually one of them. So it give you qualitative kind of star ratings for that stuff. But it gives you kind of a whole summary of all that stuff. Again, can do a lot of that work without any human input. Here's a quick example of a flow. So it'll also do functional testing, not just find issues, but it'll have goals and say verify the chat with Gemini link works on the DeepMind website. And you go there and you click it, and then it goes, yep, we're there. And at every step, the AI goes, this is what I'm trying to do. This is what I think I'm going to do. This is my goal. And then I think I accomplished that goal. And what's my next step? So it's almost more thinking a lot of times than a lot of the Selenium and Java that I've seen in the past. But it goes through and does execute functional flows. And on the right, you can see that was from a conference today, but it can do hundreds of these functional test cases per page, completely autonomously. And that's really the sub-zero shot. So AI hasn't had any input really from a human yet, from a human testing expert. But it can do all this stuff. And then guess what has to happen? We've got to bring the human in because the AI doesn't know everything and it's not a full expert yet. So Q,
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool, Jason. I think that everybody has the paradigm that um, you have to do a good prompt in order for AI to do its stuff. And so the Sub-Zero is actually no prompting, just go, which is really cool and doesn't require a lot of knowledge in the beginning to do a prompt. But once you get the results, then you can actually go in and review them as a human and go in and identify some areas that need more attention, as well as taking a look at all of the bugs that it found or possibly didn't find. There may be false positives because AI does have blind spots. And so we want to be able to have a human go in there and take a look at the results. And therefore, that's what the zero shot is. The first shot at reviewing the results and catching some of the things that AI didn't get quite correctly and helping you to increase your confidence there. I think we have a, yeah, here's an example where the AI James, our AI tester, found a bug. And so we had the tester, a human tester, actually go in and verify the bug, that it was good, and then actually add some comments on whether or not some details for the bug and actually do a thumbs up and or thumbs down. If they did a thumbs down, then this bug would be deleted from the actual report. So I think that's really cool to have the human go in there and take a more detailed look at the defect or bug and then verify it. So this is the zero shot, and then the one shot, or okay, the one shot is actually going one level deeper, where they the testers would um, put in complex flows and combine some of the flows that come from domain experience and testing experience and put that into the AI with some more deeper prompting. And so that enables the AI to go one level more after they've got the original results with the zero shot, then they can go one level deeper with one shot. And you can think of it in terms of, Gen AI, the paradigm of prompting and getting one level deeper after you get the results back and you give some feedback. So it's really cool to be able to input that human judgment and domain expertise and share that and put that into the AI.
right. And if they see the AI's found some security issues, they might dig deeper on security, right? Or they might also look at the AI and say, oh, hey, the AI didn't even test this whole other area, right, that they think should be done. So they go off and do it to add that coverage. So really, the humans are inspired or informed by that AI context to go off and do very human AI expert-like work. And I just want to say to get excited about this is what I love is that
We do a lot of
well,
work with accounting applications, and if you see the AI didn't really dig in as deep as you wanted it to into accounts payable, you can create some some more detailed prompts on that.
right? Or even like we like real world data too. Like Phil, I guess I'll overshare is, it can drive things and look like it did a tax calculation, but how do you know that it's actually the right tax calculation at the end of the day? How do you know that's right? Maybe that's where a human comes in and digs around. Maybe they even try. Maybe the AI didn't try like negative numbers, right, and see what happens with tax. And the AI maybe not really know what the latest tax code is for some very obtuse thing or an internal accounting business rule, right? So they can't do everything. The humans aren't spending their time doing the basic stuff. Can I enter a number? Can I log in? But rather they can spend their time on these very contextual business-like things, which really was you've seen it, Phil. You've seen everything. You're young, um, but all of that's been a promise of automation all these years that frees up the humans. But it's been so unreliable and takes so long that humans really get consumed by it. But also, um, they just don't have never did enough work that the people had the time to do the clever work. But I think we're finally, because the automation has little small brains attached to it, they can do a fair amount of that work and free up people. Um, finally.
Was there
So,
a question that came up? I think somebody,
what's your
I think,
question?
no? Okay.
You can make one up. Phil, how young are you? Was the question, I think.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
There's another question, which is, are you actually in front of the Bay Bridge right now?
Yeah, very, very close to it, and it's pretty windy up here. Luckily, it's a nice day. It looks like it's
Yeah,
we're
it
just
does look
getting
nice.
started.
It does look nice. It's always the same weather when I talk to you. Um, So the other big thing is there's two shot. So two shot is the final part of this four shot phase thing. And what this is really so the humans have done a bunch of exploratory testing and stuff informed by the AI. And now what they're going to do is they're going to prepare for the next run. So they're going to add some extra intelligence to the AI. So the first thing they do obviously is if they come up with some test cases they think are important to run on a regression for the next run, they'll type those in and they can write those as prompts. Obviously, it's the new AI world. And they can just say, hey, add a test case or it could be in Cucumber or whatever, that the AI hadn't come up with before. Or it could even be test cases from their existing library of Cucumber or other test definitions in like test rail or whatever, or even the code from some Selenium tests. And they can import those into the AI so that the AI will execute it next time. And so we get more automated coverage on the next round when they get the next build. And then secondly, they can also go in and create new AI testers. So if the tester realized, hey, there was like a couple branding mistakes, right? This is like a real live scenario is the brand changed from like a red orange to an actual orange color. And they changed the font a little bit of their logo, right? So what they can do, if they notice that in this build, they can add a new tester and that's a prompt. But that new AI tester could be called like the brand tester, and then it says, make sure that all the logos are always orange and they're using this font. And the red one is never shown by any means ever, even if it's tiny, just never show the red logo. And then on the next build, this AI tester you now created, every page and everywhere the AI goes, will execute this extra custom AI tester that they've created, and it will find bugs if there's problems with the branding, right, on color or font or sizing. And so you keep adding these testers. So over time, you build a larger and larger set of AI testing agents for you. And then secondly, you can add more personas. Like when you have that qualitative feedback, you can say, hey, the AI didn't come up or create a persona for this is the one I love from a travel site that we've talked to before. But I love their example, which is, hey, we have a large contingent of people that are very high margin, I think, but they're older travelers that always travel with their dog within Europe. Like, so how does that site appeal to them? And is it obvious for them how to find, the accommodations and stuff they need between hotel and car and flights that are pet friendly? And so you'd add that persona, you'd add other ones. So the next time the AI runs, you get feedback from those new personas now on the next run. So really two shot is a very quick way, just with prompts, no code or complexity, to add new regression functional tests, new AI testers to look for just even general purpose issues, um, and uh, and then also personas to give you more qualitative feedback on the next run. And then that goes into the AI, and then the cycle of life and beauty and the future of awesomeness and test efficiency starts again when you get a new build.
I think you used the wrong term there. It's a circle of life.
What did I say? It was cycle of life.
Cycle of life. The circle of life is the song.
You must be a tester. You're right. You're right. And then I'm the little Simba. Is that what
One
it is?
one thing that you mentioned just briefly, but I wanted to emphasize it was that you can actually catalog your prompts and use that as a regression test. So if you have 10 different tests, you can combine those and use them over and over and over, and therefore that way you can create some consistency and create a regression test, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'll do the regression, and the AI will look at and play with new things that automatically appear, even if you don't
Mm.
have a spec or whatever. But yeah, you can definitely have a consistent baseline of test suites that will they just run every time.
Right.
And see
So,
diffs.
yeah, so instead of a test suite with complicated code that you may break, you just have a set of prompts, basically, a catalog of prompts that you use as a regression test.
Yeah, exactly. And what I love about this night is that you're also getting feedback as soon as possible. So that zero shot, if the developer like checks in code a few hours later, has an email with all of these quick, maybe not even reviewed by the human yet, but possible issues. So if they're very obviously broken and a problem, they can just fix it before they go home for the night. Um, and also if they want to wait till it's been pre-reviewed by the humans, they wait a few more hours and they get the zero shot. So over time, the confidence and completeness of the testing gets better and better. But you get it early enough and in time that you can actually have an impact on testing before the test cycle is done, before was it cycle you said? It's a cycle of life.
Circle of life.
Yeah, circle of life, circle of life. I'll get it better. Um, and then you get it in time for the sprint and before your software ships to production, which is one of the biggest problems that no one really wants to talk about today, is that it takes a long time to get feedback in the loop. But I think with AI, we can start getting both that high value human expert context and the obvious but wide breadth of coverage of AI and feedback back in time so the engineers can fix the stuff before we exit the sprint.
Yeah, getting back to more serious stuff. I just want to let you know that one of my favorite songs is "Can You Feel the Love Tonight?" Did you know that?
I wouldn't admit it.
Okay. Um, yeah, so
Am I
getting
blushing?
back to testing. Yeah, so I think what's really cool is that we're able to bring this technology and a process such that we can combine human experts as with AI uh, for small teams and make them into large teams, basically, because they're supplemented and complemented by AI. So a lot of companies that are don't necessarily have the resources to develop their own testing models with AI and so on, and they can actually convert their team to use AI and actually, kind of scale up and become larger. So I think that's really cool to be able to get that kind of enterprise um, tool to support them in their testing. And so the humans add the quality, whereas the AI adds the scalability, and I think it's really makes it affordable for everyone. So it's kind of what we say ubiquitizing AI for the
Virtual
testing
advertising.
world.
Yeah. Yep. Making
Yeah.
it ubiquitous. Yep. Yeah.
So I think our 17 minutes is up. We went over time, but this is our last slide talking about iceberg QA. We introduced it in the beginning, where we have AI under the water doing a lot of the heavy work. I won't call it grunt work, Jason. Heavy work, heavy lifting. A lot of heavy lifting can include, stuff that requires a lot of muscle, but also a lot of smarts as well. And the humans are on the top. We don't have the penguin. Oh, we have the penguins there, but they're not moving. And this was inspired by, my trip to Antarctica, where the penguins were on top, doing a lot of the moving and eating, while the iceberg on the bottom was doing a lot of the thinking and work.
Exactly.
So I think this is the first webinar. This is the
Mhm.
first one out of four, and we're going to be going forward week after week, talking about more details of the four-shot testing flow and how each part of the shots impacts and improves the testing circle of life.
Yeah, and
Jason?
I'll be a little more, not necessarily even commercial, but the idea here is that so these are things that people can, if you have AI tools or you're trying to integrate them into your flows, I highly recommend you consider this flow for your own team. Think about how to best help merge and integrate. That's kind of the question of the industry right now is okay, so there's these AI tools, there's a bunch of different ones, got a bunch of people. how do these things mix? Is kind of the question du jour. And so, really think about it and think about integrating these things into your own workflows. And if you want someone else just to do it, like just some experts, some AI experts, and some testing experts that have seen everything in the world and are directly working together to make this super efficient and super fast and deliver a lot of coverage. You can just go to Iceberg QA and we will just help you with whatever testing needs to get done. You don't have to fiddle with the AI or even fiddle with some of the testing expertise. You can offload a lot of that stuff to Iceberg QA if you wanted.
All right. Well, thanks everyone. We hope to see you on June 19th when we dig a little deeper into each of the shots and how they can help you to keep up with the speed of development. So thanks everyone for attending, and I promise we won't sing in the next webinar.
Yeah, we'll pick a different DJ than you.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks everyone.
Cool.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Sure.